Hello folks, it's quite a while since my last video. I've been suffering from motivational problems in that I really haven't been doing very much at all. Anyway, I have made a bit of progress on various bits and pieces, so I thought it might be worth doing another video and giving you something to look at. So first off, this is a blast from the past for me. Cromwell tank, one of the Warlord plastic kits. I decided that I'd do a few different models, and I've not built an AFV in God knows how many years. So this was my first attempt. I'm reasonably pleased with how it's turned out, actually. The kit went together very well. It's got plenty of detail on it. It was an easy kit to build, really. It was the painting and the weathering which I wanted to try and push myself on, because I've not done that for a long time either. Those of you who know anything about Cromwells will notice immediately that there is an error. Oops, sorry about that, I'm jerking the camera around. And there is in fact the error when it comes into focus. And that is that I put the gun on the wrong way round. The main gun should be on the opposite side of where it is now. So anyway, that faux pas having been admitted, I couldn't be arsed trying to take it to pieces to change it, to be perfectly honest. So that's it. So plastic kit, done a bit of weathering, tried some of the weathering powders. I wasn't too pleased with how the tracks went together. I thought that could have been done a bit better. I've tried not to go over the top with the weathering. I know it's easy to do too much. Get a bit more light on it for you. Also tried to do some streaking and grime and whatnot, and I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out. So I bought some more kits. I've got some Tamiya 156th scale, 148 scale ones, which I'm going to have a go at, and I'll put them on video as and when they're done. On the subject of Second World War, I also took up the videos on Lard TV of their Chain of Command rules set. I was particularly interested in the Blitzkrieg period, because that's a period which I enjoy researching. That period of the war I think is a fascinating period with no super tanks and so on. So what I did was I got myself some bits and pieces, and I've been having a go at building a Blitzkrieg army, period army rather. I'm going to do, I'm sorry about this, I keep knocking this camera. I'm going to do French early war and some Germans. And what you see here is the Warlord Games 75mm artillery piece with crew, and it's a metal model. It was a bit of a pig to put together actually in some respects, but I'm quite pleased with how that's turned out. I had to go with the airbrushing of the camo, and again turned out to be okay. So that's the first of a few bits and pieces for the French. Swapping over now to the Germans, this is a late vehicle. I've had this absolutely ages, the SEKFZ 251. As you can see, it's the late version. This is the resin kit. I got it from a starter kit which I sold on ages ago. I've had problems with doing the airbrushing camo in the past, and in fact I shied away from using airbrushing for quite a while. I think I was frightened of making a mess of it, but this is airbrushed, and I am very pleased with how it's turned out. I think the detail's quite good. As before, as I said before, I've done the streaking with I've done an airbrush overall, and the camo was airbrushed, and then I've gone in, not that you can see it too well, but I've gone in with some streaking grime and chips and whatnot to achieve a bit of a rough and ready approach. I know it's late war, but I intend to do some late war stuff as well. and well, it had been lying around so long I thought I might as well get on and do something with it. Next up, from the Chain of Command set, which I bought with their rules, you get a few markers, basically, deployment points. So these are their deployment. Oops, sorry. These are their deployment markers, jump-off markers, I think they're called, which I've just taken from their set and painted up and magnetised. I've got to magnetise everything basically so that it won't slide all over everywhere in my box of tricks. So that's just two of those as an example. On the British, again from a starter set, I'd got a British 6-pounder late war, but because of course that's when the 6-pounder was introduced. It wasn't available in 1940. But again, I like the kit. It went together reasonably well. It was a metal Warlord one, and I intended. Originally I was going to do all this with bolt action in mind, but then I thought, when I saw the Chain of Command rules and the videos and whatnot, I thought, no, I think I'll swap over and have a go at Chain of Command. It'd be quite good fun. So that's my 6-pounder. And then next we've got some British, a Vickers machine gun team. Sorry, I'm not quite used to this camera being on a tripod, so I'm making a complete balls of it, but nevertheless I hope you can see what's going on. So there you have the Vickers tripod team, heavy machine gun. Again, late war sort of Normandy period was the intention, and they were quite good fun to paint. I enjoyed doing them. They make a nice change from Napoleonics and that sort of stuff. I found in my bits box this little figure. In fact, these two. I think they came with a set that I bought. The paratrooper rescuing one of his comrades. I think that was in some box or other. I don't know what. I've had these ages, but I thought I'd have a go at doing him because I've not painted Second World War stuff for quite some time. Excuse me. And this is another personality figure which Warlord issued. And again, I've no idea how I came by these. This may well have been in a starter box, but I thought he'd make a good Chain of Command British officer. As for the French, I've got part of a French squad together. I haven't finished the platoon yet. These are just a few of the starter figures that I've used. I think I've actually got the command group, and I've got one complete infantry section done so far. But these are artisan or crusader miniatures, early war French. And I think they're very nice figures. The sculpts are very clear and crisp, and they're quite easy. I found them quite easy to paint. It's probably got something to do with the fact that you undercoat them, or rather I undercoat them in black and then go over them with a primer of leather brown and then touch them up basically. So there isn't, compared to Napoleonics, there's virtually next to nothing needs doing to them. So I've got quite a few of those. As I said, we've got one complete section, which is what you see here. If I can just zoom out, give you an idea. We've got one complete section, some VB launchers, and I figured that I could get up and running with Chain of Command fairly quickly because I'm only going to need about 30 or 40 figures to start off with. So those are the French, which I'll just shift out of the way. I have got some more British, again, just odds and sods which I've picked up. There's British 3-inch mortar team for the later period. I like the leather jerkins on them. I think they've got lots of character. And I've also got some other bits and pieces which I will show you in just a sec. Right, so what we have here is a building from a company called Empires at War. I'll put a link in the description. It's empiresatwar.co.uk. They produce quite a wide range of buildings, and this is from their 28mm Second World War range. I bought this one because I basically want to recreate the early Blitzkrieg period, as I mentioned, and this will do for that period. It will also do actually for later France. I understand it's described as the Norman farmhouse or Norman village range. The building's made of MDF. It's quite solidly constructed. The roof comes off, and once you've removed the roof, the little side house there, you've got the underside, and you can take the first floor out to give you the ground floor. I won't be doing any interior decorating. I haven't been to B&Q to choose the wallpaper and curtains. I'll just leave it as it stands, I think, for the moment. So it goes together like that. Now, when I bought it, I bought the ready painted version, and I haven't weathered it yet, though there is some weathering on, which they kindly do for you. But when I bought it, it didn't have any glass in the windows. So what I decided to do is I used the glue and glaze PVA solution, which you can buy, and put myself some glass in the windows, and it's worked out quite well, really, I think. Some of the windows are broken, as you can see. These aren't terribly expensive. I think they're very good value for what they are. I'll tart it up. They do actually say themselves that their stuff comes if you buy the stuff that's ready painted. They will be doing some weathering, but you might want to do some more of your own. I presume that's the shed or outhouse or whatever. So you can do that. I think they're pretty good. If we put a Frenchman alongside the door, dans la porte, you can see. Fits in quite well, as I say, 28mm. And I bought a number of these buildings. I have to say the service was excellent. They arrived very quickly once I'd ordered them online, and they were very reasonably priced. And what I will probably be doing with them is I'm not going to base them as such, but what I think I will do is I'm going to have a separate base with a garden or something similar, garden wall and whatnot on the outside, so that I can detach the garden rather than have the whole thing with a very large footprint, and that will give me some flexibility. I bought several of these buildings, so if you bear with me, I'll get some others. Okay, so here's another of the buildings. This one I haven't yet gone round to putting the windows in. See, it's got some nice shutters and blank wall there, door and windows at the back, and a blank wall on the other gable. Roof lifts off once again to reveal the interior, and once you get the first floor out, you've got the ground floor down there. So that's fairly straightforward. As I mentioned earlier, quite solidly built with MDF, and I bought them pre-painted because I basically couldn't be bothered doing it myself. So that's one without the windows done. They've got a damaged version, which is here, and I think that's quite nice. That's got plenty of damage. I'm going to use some weathering powders and pigments and whatnot to produce some dirt around the roof where it's been damaged, and other bits and pieces where the wall's been knocked out, like the machine gun bullets or whatever on there. This again is going to need glazing. The whole roof section comes off, as you can see there. The roof doesn't, the slates as it were, don't come off, but you've got a roof section there into the attic. First floor is damaged, and there is the base, or second floor. The most observant of you will have noticed these buildings don't have stairs leading from the first floor to the second floor. I don't think that's too much of a problem personally. I'm not that bothered about it. I think they're very good buildings for what they are, and I'll certainly be buying some more of them. And finally, these are the rest of the French infantry, which I have still to paint. They've been primed in black. I've gone over them in Vallejo leather brown primer, given them 2 decent coats, and I'm about to start on the final coats now, touching up flesh, etc. As I said at the outset, I'd suffered from a very, very low motivation. I think when it came to painting, my mojo left me completely. I don't know whether it's anything to do with this coronavirus business. I mean, I'm retired, so I don't have to go to work, fortunately. But I was painting reasonably well before all this kicked off, and then I just lost interest altogether. I don't know why. I'm watching everybody else's YouTube videos with interest. I've missed out on a few of the subjects, such as researching books and so on, which I'll try and catch up on and give you a couple of examples of books that I think might be useful. The latest one I noticed was what you like and what you hate about the hobby, or dislike rather. Starting with dislikes, I don't like rules lawyers. I was a lawyer for many years, so I know what lawyers can get up to. I don't like rules lawyers. I play war games for fun, and I believe that that's the main purpose of the hobby. You shouldn't take it too seriously, as excuse me, as has been said before, we're playing with toy soldiers, and it's best to enjoy it. I don't think there's much else. Well, I don't like people who aren't prepared to tolerate other people's interests. I was a member of a War Games Club for a while, and we came up with there were a number of people who'd been there a lot longer than I had, and their attitude to anything new was, quote, "We're not playing those, they're shit," unquote, by reference to the rules. They wouldn't even deign to, well, that's not, I was going to say they wouldn't deign to give them a try. They did, but then during the course of the trial of these rules, they did nothing but moan about how bad they were. So the whole experience was basically an unpleasant one. So I figured the best thing to do if you don't like that is to plough your own furrow. So I thought, well, sod it. I've got my own friends who I'll war game with, so I ditched the club and I've been doing my own thing with a couple of mates, and it's been very, very good indeed. So I think we need to be tolerant, and as I say, those are the dislikes. The likes far outweigh any dislikes. The likes are the community that we've got on YouTube, and how everybody is so helpful, so open, so willing to share their successes and failures, and to give helpful advice whenever it's requested. I think that's great. I'm certainly encouraged, and have been encouraged immensely by what other people have posted on YouTube, and I've been doing this wargaming business for a long time, and I think YouTube is probably one of the best things that's happened to it. Just the comradeship, the friendliness, and the fact that it's just such a fun hobby. So just briefly touching upon that subject, I think I've gone on long enough now, considering that I haven't done a video for ages. I'm now just rambling on. Anyway, I hope that what I have managed to show you has been of some interest, and I'll try and put another video on sooner rather than later with a bit more stuff that might be of interest to you. Meanwhile, I'm keeping a close eye on all the stuff that's out there. I'm commenting wherever I can and getting some very nice responses too. And I want you all to stay safe, continue to enjoy your hobby, and I'll see you next time. Cheers for now.